The film begins with a frantic man, later identified as Ben, tumbling through a trapdoor into an ancient study. In the room, he discovers a door with a perplexing puzzle on the wall that he must solve to escape. However, when Ben moves one of the numbers, the opposite wall begins to move, pressing down and crushing everything in its path. Desperately seeking clues, Ben manages to align the numbers, but the wall continues to approach him, trapping him in between the two walls with a sharp object piercing his leg. The film then jumps back 3 days earlier to Chicago, Illinois. Welcome to Recap Planet. Spoilers ahead, so be prepared. Zoe attends a lecture but is too hesitant to speak up, despite knowing the answer to a question asked by her professor. After class, her professor challenges her to do something that scares her and tells her to speak up. Zoe returns to her dorm room and refuses to join the dorm party. The next morning, she discovers a mysterious package for Zoe outside their room. Inside the box are a note from her professor and a black Enigma box. Jason, a successful stock trader, receives a call from a satisfied client who offers him a free trip to Fiji. Later, Jason receives a note from the same client with a black Enigma box. Ben, a stock boy, is disappointed when his boss denies him a promotion to the cashier. As Ben's boss exits, he spots Ben's flask and advises him to stop drinking and make some friends. The next day, Ben arrives at work to find a note and a black Enigma box on his workstation. Zoe, Jason, and Ben each find a way to open their Enigma boxes. Zoe solves the puzzle on her own, while Jason turns to a YouTube tutorial, and Ben accidentally discovers the solution while attempting to smash the box with a hammer. Inside each box is a card inviting them to participate in an escape room challenge at Minus, with a $10,000 reward for the first person to escape. Ben stands outside the Minus building smoking a cigarette when Amanda shows up. After checking in with the guard, Amanda has to turn in her cell phone before boarding the elevator. As she steps into the elevator, the guard thanks her for her service, causing Amanda to look visibly uneasy. Danny enters the elevator with Amanda, and the two join Jason, Zoe, and Mike in the waiting room. As they wait for the game to begin, the group converses and Danny discloses that he has experienced over 90 escape rooms. Ben, tired of waiting for the game to begin, decides to step out to smoke. But as he tries to open the door, the handle snaps off and Danny realizes that the game has already started. The broken handle has transformed into a scorching oven dial, and the group sets out to hunt for clues. In the meantime, Zoe recklessly turns the oven dial to a dangerous 451 degrees Fahrenheit, which triggers the heating panels to scorch the room. With their nerves on edge, Amanda approaches a person hiding behind a frosted glass window, seeking answers. But little does she know that the voice she is conversing with is nothing but a terrifying recording. The discovery makes Jason uneasy. Meanwhile, Ben takes a fire extinguisher off the wall, but to his surprise, it triggers even more heating panels to start. The situation worsens when the team discovers that the fire extinguisher was fake all along, causing Zoe to pull out the pin to find a key to open the frosted glass window. To their surprise, they find a mannequin holding a phone that suddenly rings, with Jason answering the call. The voice on the other end commands them to follow the rules, and as soon as Jason hangs up, more heating panels switch on, causing Amanda to panic. But Zoe takes charge and gets her a glass of water to calm her down. As the group frantically searches for answers, Zoe spots a sign on the wall reminding them to use the coasters. Upon pressing on one of the coasters, a painting on the wall moves, revealing an air duct. Zoe realizes that they need to press down on all 6 coasters simultaneously to prevent the painting from obstructing the duct, and the team springs into action. Jason crawls into the duct to find a gate that leads to another room but requires a screwdriver for Mike to open it. As they move forward, Zoe figures out that they can fill the water glasses to the brim using the water cooler, which will weigh enough to hold the coasters down. However, Amanda becomes overwhelmed and flashes back to a traumatic event, causing Ben and Danny to urge Zoe to help her. The team tries to fill all 6 glasses, but Amanda drinks one earlier, leaving them with only 5 full glasses. Ben pulls out his flask and fills the 6th glass. Danny and Ben crawl through the air duct, with the room behind them exploding into flames. The team ends up in a log cabin, with everyone except Danny convinced that the game is real. Danny complains that he's stuck with 5 dull individuals, oblivious to the perilous situation they find themselves in. Jason opens a lock on the front door using the key he found earlier, but they discover another lock that requires a 7-letter combination to unlock, leaving them feeling hopeless and trapped. Mike comes across a quote on the wall that reads, "You'll go down in history." Zoe tries to open the lock by guessing the names of US presidents with 7-letter last names but fails. Ben notices 9 antlers with a letter under each of them. He recalls a time when he was drunk and crashed into another car while singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with his friends. Ben realizes that the letters under the antlers spell out the names of Santa's reindeer. He suggests trying Rudolph as the password and the lock clicks open. The group leaves the cabin, but it locks behind them. They find themselves in a snowy clearing with frozen water covering the ground. Zoe notices the temperature dropping slowly while the thermometer reads 30 degrees. Danny walks away from the cabin and hits a barrier, realizing that the walls are high-tech screens that simulate an outdoor environment. The group searches for clues. Jason finds a locked door in the wall, and Amanda discovers a boat with a red jacket. Zoe sees a carving on the boat that says, "True North is a lie." Jason appears unsettled by the jacket, and Amanda suggests they take turns wearing it, starting with Zoe. Mike finds a fishing pole in a tree, and Ben accidentally steps on a fishing hole in the ice. While the others investigate the fishing hole, Zoe uses the compass to wander around. She notices that the compass begins to malfunction near a taxidermied polar bear and sticks her hand into the bear's mouth, discovering a magnet. When she returns to the group, Jason takes the jacket from her and insists that it's his turn to wear it. Ben goes off to smoke, and Mike attaches the magnet to the fishing line, dropping it into the hole. He pulls up a metal frame containing a frozen block of ice with a key in the center. The ice is too hard to break, so Danny asks Ben for his lighter to melt it. Ben throws the lighter to Danny, causing the ice to crack beneath him, and he falls through into the water. The remaining 5 search for Danny under the ice frantically, and Amanda wants to dive in to save him. Mike warns her that she would not make it back to the surface due to the strong current. Danny ends up drowning under the ice. Jason warns the group that they are at risk of hypothermia if they do not work together to melt the ice as the temperature plummets. He recalls his experience sitting on a capsized boat in icy water with another person who was wearing the same red jacket found in the room. By taking turns wearing the jacket and placing their hands on the ice, they eventually melted it as the room's temperature fell below zero. Jason tries the key in the door, but it fails to open. They notice another door that opens on the opposite side of the room and hurries toward it. As they run, the ice starts cracking beneath them, but they all make it. The next room appears to be a bar with a pool table. However, everything is upside down and bolted to the ceiling, which is at least 20 feet high. Mike discovers that the 8-ball is missing from the pool table. As the phone attached to the pool table starts ringing, a voice warns them to watch their steps. Suddenly, a piece of the floor falls. Everyone holds onto the walls for dear life. Amanda climbs behind the bar and finds a safe that requires a 4-digit code. Zoe notices a sliding puzzle on the wall and starts solving it while another part of the floor collapses. Jason climbs onto a platform near the exit door, which is missing the handle. Ben and Mike join Zoe on the sliding puzzle frame. Zoe solves the puzzle, and they discover that the colors on the puzzle correspond to certain billiard balls. They relay the code to Amanda, who opens the safe and retrieves the 8-ball that will act as the door handle. The sliding puzzle frame begins to come loose from the wall due to its weight. Zoe falls onto the section of the floor below the puzzle and is momentarily stunned by the impact. She recollects being inside an overturned airplane, gazing up at her deceased mother's body strapped to a seat. Jason jumps down and assists Zoe to safety. Ben and Mike follow him onto the platform. Amanda puts the 8-ball in her pocket and leaps from the bar to the pool table, using her arms to pull herself along the edge until she can lift her legs. The ball tumbles out of her pocket and rolls toward the edge. Amanda snatches the ball and hurls it to Jason before the floor collapses. She clings to the dangling phone cord, and Ben attempts to rescue her with a pool cue, but the cord snaps, and she falls to her demise. Zoe is heartbroken, and Ben tries to console her while Jason leads the group into the next room. Jason cruelly electrocutes Mike twice using the paddles until his heart rate skyrockets above 200. Despite Ben's attempts to revive him through CPR, Mike remains lifeless. Jason realizes that the door will only open if the EKG measures a low heart rate, so he attaches the machine to himself and calms down until his heart rate drops below 50. Finally, the door opens, but not before the countdown ends, triggering the release of deadly poisonous gas that fills the room. Ben pleads with Zoe to follow him and Jason out of the room, but she stubbornly refuses. Instead, she continues breaking cameras, convinced that it will solve their problems. Jason and Ben abandon Zoe to her fate and leave the room, while she smashes the last camera. Zoe eventually collapses on the floor, convulsing and foaming at the mouth. Jason and Ben enter the 5th room, which is ominously covered from floor to ceiling with a black and white checkered pattern. In the midst of this eerie setting, Ben accuses Jason of killing Mike to avoid sharing a jacket with him on the boat. Jason remembers fighting with his friend on the boat, drowning him, and then watching his body drift away so that he could use the jacket to survive. Jason argues that the only thing that matters is survival and that Ben has no right to take the moral high ground since he is responsible for the deaths of his own friends in a car crash. Ben angrily walks away and discovers a hatch on the floor. He tries to open it alone, but it's too heavy. Jason joins him, and together they manage to lift it open. However, they soon realize that the handle has left a dangerous substance on their hands, and they begin hallucinating. A message under the hatch tells them that the antidote is in the room, but there's only one dose. Jason attacks Ben to steal the antidote, and a violent struggle ensues as the floor rotates beneath them. Eventually, Ben manages to kick Jason's head into a table corner, and he dies. Ben uses the antidote on himself and drops down into the hatch. He kicks through a grate on the floor and finds himself back in the room where the movie began. The walls begin closing in on him, threatening to crush him. With quick thinking, Ben squeezes sideways into the fireplace, and the walls smash together. The mantle of the fireplace breaks and opens the door, allowing Ben to exit the room. Finally, Ben enters a large room filled with computers, and a screen shows the 6 contestants with their faces crossed out, except for his. The game master greets him and explains that the game was designed to entertain a select group of wealthy and powerful people. He reveals that past games have included college athletes and savants and that they wanted to test sole survivors. 2 employees wearing hazmat suits walk into the hospital escape room and are ordered to dispose of Mike and Zoe's bodies. They spot a breathing tube hanging from the ceiling. Zoe, who used the tube to survive, ambushes them with an 4 stand from behind, knocks them out, steals a firearm, and escapes the room. Ben asks the game master if he can leave since he won the game, and the game master agrees before attempting to strangle him with a wire. Ben removes the stick from his injured leg and stabs the game master, causing him to drop the wire. The game master climbs on top of Ben to finish choking him but notices a computer display reading system override as the screen showing the 6 original players changes to include the game master, Ben, and Zoe. Zoe shoots the game master but fails to kill him as he takes cover behind some crates. While Zoe tries to revive Ben, the game master attacks her and regains control of the firearm. Ben smashes a glass container on the game master's head before shooting and killing him. The screen now shows the game master's face crossed out and Zoe and Ben listed as the winners. Zoe and Ben exit the building and head to the hospital to treat Ben's injuries. The police collect Zoe from the hospital to take her to the Minus building. When the police arrive, the building seems abandoned and crumbling. They inform Zoe that they have found no proof of the things she claims happened in the building. Zoe tells them to question Ben to confirm her story, but they inform her that Ben's blood work shows multiple drugs in his system. Zoe sees the words "No Way Out" spray painted on the wall and realizes it is an anagram for Dr. Woodenyu, whose name appeared in various escape rooms. The police disbelieve Zoe's story and order her to leave the premises. 6 months have elapsed, and Zoe and Ben reunite at a coffee shop. Ben's life has progressed, and he's now employed as a salesperson for plant-based dog food. Zoe reveals to Ben a binder filled with the information she's been collecting on Minus. The binder contains stories about Amanda, Mike, Jason, and Danny's untimely deaths. Using the Minus emblem, Zoe has also discovered the coordinates for the Minus headquarters in New York City. Ben agrees to accompany her there in 2 weeks to take them down. The film shifts to an airplane in trouble, with one engine on fire. The flight attendants are searching desperately for hints to get into the cockpit. They enter the cockpit, but it's too late to get the plane to lift before it crashes into the ground. The camera changes to reveal that the airplane is actually suspended in a warehouse, and the flight attendants and passengers are Minus employees testing out an escape room situation. A figure in the shadows appears on a screen and asks an employee about the survival probability. They respond that it's only 4%. The figure informs the employee that it must be more survivable since the participants do not have any chances. They expose that they have Ben and Zoe's flight itinerary and that the scenario must be ready for their flight. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment and let us know which film you want us to explore next. Take care.